I'm in my garage because it's blowing a gale out there. It's quite apt given that this is a stability video. I worry about stability on that. I don't worry about it on the VFR. Let's have a look at it. If you just want anecdotes, flick to 4:51. Let's have a look. So, stability. As I said, not an exciting subject, and bikes are very, very stable these days. But sometimes we mix it in with handling as a whole, and handling is it's a very difficult sort of subject to sort of like get right, because there's so many different situations on a bike that you'll find yourself in. When we see handling mentioned on the bulk of YouTube reviews, and I mentioned this in my handling video of the VFR, tends to be steering. They tend to talk more about, they'll say handling, but they mean steering. Usually the bike tracks a line around a corner that you'd expect it to. But from my point of view, handling is when things go a bit wrong. How does the bike behave when you've got it a bit wrong? Your braking's poor, your acceleration's poor, you've hit some bad surfaces. And that's where the stability comes into it. So let's look at some of my other bikes and what the stability issue was with them, if any. Because my memory's fading now, I'm going to go back to my Firestorm of around about 2000-ish. And it was sort of a good all-round bike, nice feed to in, but the forks felt a little bit spindly. And therefore, if you were braking really hard for a corner, you didn't have full confidence in it. You felt it was just going to move a little bit or maybe wash out. I don't know. Luckily, the brakes weren't too fantastic, so that wasn't a big deal. So it never felt super stable, did the Firestorm, although it was a nice bike to ride. And I enjoyed owning it. After that, the ZX9 was sort of like the opposite. The ZX9 had a lovely stable front end, it really did. I mean, Kawasaki's are noted for it. But the back end just used to feel a little bit loose. So if you were peeling out of a corner, you were still cranked over and you opened it up. We know you're supposed to sit it up a bit before you crank it open, but I like opening it up when I'm leant over, and it actually obviously sits the bike up a bit more and fires you out of the corner. So I quite like it, but you've got to be careful. So the ZX9 didn't feel as secure as the Firestorm at the rear end, but front end, super stable, brake all you like, as many bumps as you like, felt great. The Phaser, well, a different bike, Phaser Pound, fabulous, but upright, so your hands were a long way from the axle, so the feel from the front tyre wasn't as good as it is on this or on sports bikes. And as soon as that front tyre started to wear, or you lost a bit of pressure, it would waggle a little bit, particularly crossing over the white lines. Again, you expect it to get out of shape a little bit. It would shake a little bit. But the VFR, it's heavy, 267 kilogram. It's long wheelbase. It's going to sit firm on the ground. Very few issues. Door and a temp fade. Very few issues. And I think that's quite important given, as I said in the intro, the poor condition of the roads in the UK. Potholes, manhole covers, raised or sunk. Come on to that in a minute. Gravelly bits, aggregate lorries everywhere, they're always building something. So yeah, it's quite important. And I can honestly say the VFR's always kept its shape. Perhaps I'm slowing down a bit. That might have something to do with it. But I'm going to give you a couple of anecdotes as normal. But before I do, just want to go back to when I was when I was doing research on the VFR, and I was reading all the magazines I could get on it. And I read an article in Bike magazine. I'll put the details on screen. It's one worth getting if you haven't got it. It tests the VFR against older sports bikes and how close it is. And on that he mentioned the VFR was almost uncrashable. He didn't really mean that. All bikes are crashable, of course they are. But he was pushing a point. I think he said it was something like classed as a fast road bike. It was pretty much peerless. And that stuck with me because that gave me a hint of a bike that was quite secure. And indeed it really is. Couple of anecdotes then. There's a road from that we take from Pocklington and Malton in North Yorkshire. It's not exactly from Pocklington. Comes up from the A166, not far from Stamford Bridge, and it brings you into Malton. It's an unclassified road, but it's quite wide, and it's busy. And when I say busy, I don't mean with traffic. It's quite light with traffic, but it's busy with corners, bends, jumps. There's a lot going on. Very rarely are you not doing anything on the bike. You're never stationary. You're always flicking left and right, braking, accelerating, always something to do. So it's really good. It's a really good riding road. The problem is the surface is pretty poor. It's churned up in some parts, rooked. It's got a few dips, a few sort of like sunken bits. And at times it is annoying, and as I say, because it's a sporty position, you get it through your wrists and your arms, you know. But the VFI it keeps its shape. It's like, just keeps its shape. There was one bit where it dips pretty badly, and I got the sort of like wrong angle on it. I was leaned over too much. I knew that bump was there, and whack! I caught the centre stand in quite a big bang. And I expected the bike to behave after that. I expected it not to behave, misbehave. I expected to get out of shape there. No, it didn't. Just a bang, and just carried on as like nothing had happened, you know. And I was impressed. About 6 months ago, start of the season, sorry, coming out of Masham to Bedale Road, and I know there's a drain cover just after a sharpish quick left-hander. And I don't mind going over it because it's not bad, and you're pretty much upright as you go over it because you're ready to tip in for the next right. But it had sunk, and I remembered it had sunk too late. So I'm coming around this bend, sees the drain cover, and I'm straightening up. I can't avoid it. You know, I could have given it a bit of counterbalance, but couldn't avoid it. Again, bang! Front wheel hit the pothole, and it was sunk. Felt as if it was sunk about 3 or 4 inches, and it was one of those bangs where you feel like the tyres compressing on the rim. You think, oh, it's bent me rim that. Again, you expect the bike to give it a bit of a wobble. Particularly, I've got a sharpish right-hander coming up, and I've got to get the line right. Yeah, didn't budge. Just bang, just carried on as if nothing had happened, you know. And it does that time and time again, and it just gives you so much confidence. People talk about confidence inspiring tyres and such like. It's an overused phrase. But stability wise, yeah, it does give you confidence. High winds, it's very windy today, that's why I'm here. High winds don't bother me too much. And I get really rattled about windy weather. Even if I'm walking or I'm playing sport, golf, football, in my younger days, if it was windy, yeah, my head would go. A bit like that on the bike. Don't like windy weather, who does? But you can be into a headwind with this, and well, it screens rubbish, we know, but we deflect out. But the wind doesn't bother it. It hardly moves it offline, and it just stays Battleship, you know, stable. It's fabulous for that. So yes, we know it's carrying a bit of weight. Yes, that long wheelbase may slow the turning a little bit. Don't really notice that, because I think it turns in quite nicely. But when it comes to sheer stability, no head shakes, no wobbles, I tell you what, it's damn impressive. Catch you later. Bye.